So Sags, the countdown is on. Paint us a picture. What does day one look like for Fogo?
I think there's going to be a number of day ones. When you launch an L1, there's a lot that goes into it. I actually didn't realize how much there is that goes into it when I started this. It's not just the actual L1, it's all the external dependencies, bridging and wallets and, educating on user experience, because it's a brand new L1. It's not like it's just going to work on Phantom Wallet day one. And then the other thing is, the riskiest time for a new L1 is the first couple months when you're going through all the growing pains and the validators are optimizing, etc. And so it would be irresponsible to launch really high stakes leverage perps trading, for example, day one with a brand new L1. This is a long game. This is a marathon for us. And so if we need to spend the first couple months with more low stakes apps, educating people on how to bridge over user experience, then I'm completely fine with kind of the higher stakes apps kind of holding back and not being subjected to, all of growing pains being worked out. But we're going to be very transparent on what the different phases of mainnet are. We even have names for them. Just in the next couple of weeks, you'll be hearing more announcements like that.
So it sounds like, yeah, these growing pains are guaranteed then, but because of like all your knowledge and experience, you're going for a phased approach. Do you want to tell us perhaps a bit more about that phased approach?
Yeah, I don't have any experience launching an L1. I would say actually Doro Labs has the most experience because when they launched Pith, Pith runs on this separate app chain. And for all intents and purposes, an app chain is like an L1. So they have lots of experience running an app chain. They've worked through a lot of these growing pains, but it's a different thing because it's not a public blockchain like Fogo will be. But I have no, experience launching an L1. So being a market maker for a lot of L1s, and many times they engage with market makers pretty early. So I've been through the journeys of L1s and just protocols launching. And they've, when we were a market maker, they asked for help in lots of areas. And we became much more than a market maker. And they also asked for advice on things like tokenomics. And we gave advice and got to see how it worked out. So every one of these decisions, and there's 10 critical decisions we're making every day in launching this. And every one of those decisions, I'm looking back and thinking about how this worked out for partners when we were, on the other side as a market maker. Every project is kind of its own unique thing, and every market condition is different. So just because something worked 2-3 years ago doesn't mean it's going to work the same now. But the combination of all those data points we have, plus just paying attention to what's working now from our peers, means I think we're making pretty smart decisions. And this is the time, like after you launch, it's harder, in a decentralized L1, it's harder to change things. So this is the time to make those right decisions.
Okay, so in the context of those right decisions, perhaps let's bring up your latest Fogo blog post, where it sounds like there are going to be some changes versus the original white paper. So yeah, tell us a bit more about that.
So we set out with an original vision. I mean, just like anybody has a vision, and then the roadmap changes as you get new facts, as new competitors teach you things, and as you make tactical decisions in order to achieve different goals like launching. So you might have a strategic vision in mind, but that could take 2 years. And do you want to hold up everything for that vision, or do you want to make a tactical decision, roll it out now, and kind of work towards that more strategic roadmap? And so we put out a blog post with some of those key things. One of the biggest things is follow the sun. I got everybody hyped up on follow the sun and the sun emojis. And then I said, hey, we're going to be staying in Asia. First of all, Fogo has been built to follow the sun. You can go onto testnet and see that rotation. So it's in 3 different data centers in testnet, and it's rotating, I think, every 8 hours or so. And that on a longer term horizon is going to be important because especially when RWA comes online, you want the validators as close to price discovery as possible. For real world assets, that's a lot of times in the US, and then Europe for those hours in Asia. And so following the sun allows those validators to be as close as possible to price discovery and LPs can co-load there as well, and puts everything in one and minimizes latency when those exchanges are most active, usually when the sun is up in those regions. So that's the longer term vision. But the reality is today, the demand on chain is mostly trading crypto, and the price discovery is mostly in Asia. That's the same reason the Hyperliquid, all their validators are co-load in Asia. And we've got feedback from DEXs that, hey, this would be more optimized for us if we stay in Asia. So the validators are all in all three regions, will be in mainnet. And that's important because if the data center in Asia goes down, we have a hot backup and it just rolls over to the other regions. And so I think that is an advantage from the other L1s that are just in one data center that, as far as I know, don't have that backup across geographies. So for the first phase, expect the validators will likely stay in Asia to be more latency optimized and only rotate on an as needed basis until the time where it makes sense for them because of a number of reasons. One could be that the RWA latency optimization means that they should be in NY4, for example. When that time comes, the validators will have the flexibility to start rotating or even stay there. Who knows? It's really kind of up to them, and the DEX is dictating that. And it feels good to have that flexibility. So we're optimized day one in Asia, but we have flexibility for both contingency and latency reasons going forward.